With only a few days to go, Qatar will play the first match of the World Cup. This is the first time that the World Cup will be hosted by a country that has never qualified for the competition since Italy in 1934. So, just how good is the Qatar national team? And will they be able to compete at the highest level? Let's find out. The Qatar national team played its first official match on 27th of March 1970 against hosts Bahrain. But they had to wait 4 whole years before they could get their first significant win in any tournament. Mubarak Faraj scored the only goal for Qatar in their first game, which they lost by a score of 2-1. The newly created Qatari national team performed poorly in the first Gulf competition, finishing last with just 1 point, with their 1-1 draw with Saudi Arabia in the tournament serving as the tournament's high point. Qatar was once again demoted to last place in the 1972 Gulf Cup after 3 straight losses. Then, finally, the next competition in 1974 turned out to be something of a breakthrough for the Qataris as they defeated Oman 4-0 and won their first match in international football. Qatar arguably reached what looked like its peak at the time, in the 1990s, when it received its highest ever FIFA rating, 53, in August 1993. Qatar began with a dominant qualifying campaign for the 1990 World Cup, finishing first in their group. They were denied a place in the World Cup after finishing behind the UAE and South Korea in the final round of qualifiers. Things began to take an even better turn for them after they were announced as hosts of the 2022 FIFA World Cup in December 2010. In 2011, as hosts of the 2011 Asian Cup, they advanced to the quarter-finals. They lost 2-3 to eventual champions Japan late in the game, as Masahiko Inoue scored in the 89th minute. Next, they won the 2014 WAFF Championships as hosts, as well as after defeating Jordan 2-0 in the final. The majority of the teams in the league were reserve and youth teams, with Qatar teams being one of the latter. Owing to the junior squad success, Jamel Belmadi, the head coach of the B team, took over for Fahad Thani as the senior team's head coach. Jamel Belmadi then went on to guide Qatar to victory in the 2014 Gulf Cup 10 months later. They advanced from the group stages after 3 draws, then defeated Oman 3-1 in the semi-finals and defeated Saudi Arabia, who were playing in front of their home crowd, 2-1 in the final. Despite winning the Gulf Cup and having only 1 defeat in 2014, Qatar performed poorly in the 2015 Asian Cup. In their first game, Qatar was defeated 4-1 by the United Arab Emirates. This was followed by a 1-0 loss to Iran and a 2-1 loss to Bahrain. Qatar was eliminated from the group stages with no points, finishing 4th in Group C. Fast forward to 2019, the country won its first major tournament, beating Japan in the final of the Asian Cup. In their first game, they defeated Lebanon 2-0. This was followed by a 6-0 thrashing of North Korea and a 2-0 victory over 3-time champions Saudi Arabia, securing the team's first place finish in the group. They defeated Iraq 1-0 in the round of 16 and defeated runners-up South Korea late in the quarter-finals to advance to the semi-finals for the first time ever, where they defeated hosts United Arab Emirates 4-0 to set up a final against 4-time winners Japan. Qatar won the final 3-1 over Japan, claiming their first major tournament title and capping off one of the most unexpected Asian runs in tournament history, especially given that they conceded only 1 goal in all of their games. They do have some experience in tournaments, but who are their players and what teams do they play for? Qatar announced a team for the 2021 Arab Cup that exclusively included participants from the nation's top league, the Qatar Stars League. 11 of the 23 are on the roster of Al Sadd, the current league champions and unquestionably the most successful football team in Qatar. Although it is quite usual for footballers to play for national teams other than their home countries, the Qatari team's use of this practice and its extent have drawn attention and criticism at various stages in the 21st century. The decision to strengthen eligibility requirements to ensure that players have ties to the country they represent was made in 2004, and FIFA cited the intention of 3 Brazilian players, Alton, Dede, and Leandro, to play for the Qatar national team as the immediate trigger. Within the confines of the new regulations, Qatar continued to pursue its divisive goal of naturalising foreign-born players. A lot of criticism was directed towards the Aspire Football Dreams initiative, which involved bringing young men from Africa to an academy in Qatar, Vice connected it to human rights violations and the kafala system, while Qatari authorities described it as a humanitarian effort and a way to provide native Qatari players competition. Critics countered that it was simply another exploitative method of recruiting naturalised players. 6 of the starting 11 players that featured in a friendly match against Algeria in 2015 were not born in Qatar. Sepp Blatter, who was the president of FIFA at the time, warned Qatar that FIFA would watch their player recruitment to make sure they weren't overly reliant on naturalised players. He made comparisons to the Qatar men's national handball team, calling their nomination to the 2015 World Men's Handball competition an absurdity. The team's naturalised players became its core the next season, becoming so crucial that head coach Jorge Fossati threatened to quit if they were removed. Consequently, the reliance on naturalised players has decreased, with only 2 members of the team that defeated Switzerland in a friendly in 2018 being foreign-born. As the World Cup approaches, many people will underestimate Qatar. FIFA has organised several friendlies for Qatar to play due to their lack of fixtures, despite the fact that they had already qualified, as they appear determined to avoid embarrassment with this host nation. Given that 4 of his players have already earned 100 or more international caps, the first team coach, Felix Sanchez, will continue to use a roster composed entirely of home-based Qataris for the World Cup. With the help of Almoez Ali, who offers a crucial goal threat in attack, the experience of Abdel Karim Hassan, Boalem Kouki, Karim Boudef, and Hassan Al Haidos will provide a solid base. Sanchez's players won't be intimidated by the challenge they face, because their squad is loaded with local league and international football experience, but there will be pressure for them to perform well in front of the home crowd. Qatar's experience is also one of their main weaknesses, as the majority of Sanchez's options have yet to be tested outside of their own national league, which could expose them right away. However, anything other than a group stage exit would be a major accomplishment for Qatar in their World Cup debut. The challenge of defending African champions Senegal and a resurgent Netherlands, on the other hand, is likely to be too much for them. However, there is a chance of a positive opening against Ecuador. Which of the Qatari players should we look out for in the World Cup? There's quite a few of them that are very exciting to watch, and they'll most likely put on a great show for the world when the tournament begins. Let's start with Hassan Al Haidos. Playmaker Al Haidos, who also likes to drop deep, was one of Qatar's standout players during their 2019 Asian Cup victory. Al Haidos has developed at Al Sadd under the guidance of Jafar Rashid Al Kouari. His deniable technical prowess will make him one of Al Anabi's shining lights this winter. His on-field character has consistently shone throughout his career. He has demonstrated a great deal of character, whether it was his late winning goal against Japan in the 2008 Olympic qualifications, or his legendary heroics in the club's penalty shootout win over Jeonbuk Hyundai Motors in 2011. Then there's Akram Afif. Afif, like his father, is a skilled player who can play both the left and right wing and, on occasion, even play through the middle. Afif has significant experience playing in Europe as a result of his time spent with many Spanish teams, as well as Belgium's OH Leuven. He presently plays for Al Sadd, a team which he has a significant impact on in the league. With 15 goals at the end of the 2019 to 2020 campaign, Afif led the QSL in scoring. Along with his ability to score goals, he also possesses the technical skill and vision to create a lot of chances. He can pick out a long pass that can split defences, and he regularly lifts balls into dangerous areas, in addition to making regular attempts on goal. With all of this attacking talent, Al Anabi fans are hoping for a strong World Cup campaign. Lastly, we have Almoez Ali. The current Al Duhail SC star was Al Anabi's top scorer in both the 2021 Gold Cup and the 2019 Asian Cup, registering 9 goals and 4 goals respectively. He is the only player in the world to have scored in 3 different continental championships. With 39 goals scored to date, he is presently Qatar's 3rd highest all-time goal scorer, trailing only the 44 goals Mansour Muftah has amassed. This winter, Qatari fans will be counting on his outstanding individual performances, as well as his ability to capitalise on half chances to help their team qualify for the round of 16. The Qatari team aren't very exceptional, but they're not as terrible as people think, and they might just shock the world at the World Cup. What do you think? Are they good enough to play in the World Cup? Comment down below.